Okay, we are live, and thank you so much for joining in, guys. We actually have a lot of participants watching us on a LinkedIn and YouTube live. So, welcome to another session and a very exclusive episode of Beyond Code. Well, Beyond Code conversations are the conversations with the tech leaders and veterans who are impacting the tech on a global scale, where we'll be discussing about their journey and we'll see how their opportunities were, the learnings, the setbacks, and mistakes they had along their journey of being what they are today. And we have a very special guest across from Indonesia, and he's Halga. And a little bit about Halga. Halga is a AVP of Engineering at Aplikasi Super. It's an Indonesian first leading social commercial platform and a Y Combinator top company. So he has been a tech leader for over 17 plus years, and he's currently leading a team of more than 50 plus engineers. He's experienced on agile scale architecture, scale teams, manage teams on multiple countries across Asia, and he also worked with the unicorn startups of the Indonesian companies. So thank you so much, Halga, for joining us, and we are very glad to have you today. How are you doing, and how's everything in Indonesia?
Yeah, I'm fine, Anjum. Actually, it's great. Actually, yeah, after pasca COVID, it's already great. It's all of it.
Yeah, yeah. We are very glad to have you, Halga, over here. And just to give a quick context for the people who are watching us today, you can drop your questions in the LinkedIn Live if you want to ask anything for Halga, and we'll be over here. I'll make sure that we would take up the questions at the end of this conversation, and we'll be more than glad to, uncover the journey of Halga and what he did, because we have some exclusive things that we could talk about and some interesting adventures that he had on his way towards becoming a CTO and AVP of engineering. So, Halga, before we can start, when we were having a conversation earlier, you told me that you started your company right after your college, right? And in entrepreneurship is something that's been ingrained in you from a very young age. So let's have a glimpse of how young Halga was. So what were you really interested as a kid? So were you like really into like entrepreneurship or tech, or did you actually have aspiration to start your company of your own? So how was young Halga like?
Okay, I can start with my high school. So when I high school, no much people have computers because it's yeah, high price. So I just like to install Windows 95 and then several games and try to create animations using the Microsoft Slides. Uh, yeah, I just like computers. And then goes to the university. I create like a web forum, especially for the boarding house. So yeah, actually I just board at the boarding house, and then okay, why I not creating a web forum that can talk with each other on the each rooms, and then I try to connect a LAN network between each boarding house, and then yeah, since we already have the web forum, so we can talk on each boarding houses. So everyone like it.
Yeah. So, how did you start your professional journey? I guess you were not from the computer science background, right? You did some other specialization during your bachelor's. And how did you start your professional journey, and were you introduced to tech? Like, was that something that you've been doing, practicing before getting out of college, or like, how did you start your professional journey, and how were the things back then with your first job or the first company that you started? And what do you think was the inspiration behind, like, who motivated you behind, like, starting your first company right after college?
Okay, my college, my bachelor was telecommunication engineering, but yeah, I bored with the network and also telecommunication, and I see that with some codings, it make me happy. It make me wow, it can challenge myself, right? So that's why I try to active on the one of the lab in my campus. It's digital signal processing. So I joined the lab, and then be the lab assistant, even though I also as a lab coordinator. uh, and at the lab, we try to code several microcontrollers using C native. We create several things from the encryptions, the digital signature itself. And yeah, since I already understand regarding the C native, and okay, oh, how this code is really amazed me, right? And then I tried to learn another programming language. So I tried to learn PHP at the time at 2005. Yeah, I tried to learn about PHP, and then the time, well, how, what if I can create like a web forum so we can talk with each other. So that's why I try to learn multiple programming language. Yeah, after that, goes to the master degree. When I got the master degree, I take information technology actually. So I try to be active on one of the lab, which is wireless network lab. On this lab, we try to create how to create an applications into a low-end handset. So as you know that a low-end handset always using a very small memory, very small capacity of CPU that yeah, it's not very optimized for the applications, or especially the smart applications, right? So that's why how to create the applications into this low-end handset. So at the time, we have a CDMA phone at 2008 actually. This 2008, we have a CDMA phone. We create using a Brew framework, and we try to separate from the applications, the mobile application into the backend. So all the data regarding the data itself, we put it into the backend side, and application only a few. Okay, at the time it worked miraculously, and my teacher, my professor, asking me to create a company. So that's why we started to create a startup company. So okay, we create the startup company. I'm as the CTO, and then we try to create an Islamic phones, so Islamic applications actually. So there will be two services. The first one is Al Quran, and the second one is Azan reminder. So yeah, start with the Al Quran. So we try to create the data into the backend side, and then from the mobile phone, just yeah, take the data from the backend side. Yeah, I think that's how I get the motivations.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Alga, like what were the challenges that you actually faced when you started your, idea and, try to execute your first company, right? Right after your college, I think without getting a job, you were mostly into starting something of your own. When you said your teacher kind of told you just
Yeah,
like start some company of your own, and you were developing this Islamic phones, right?
yeah,
So, as a fresher, right after college, when you're not really having a prior experience of how the things
mhm.
work and managing the team, a lot goes behind that,
A
and
lot
you were
goes.
looking into the technical aspects of it. You should also been looking into the demand and how the sales and the product quality. So what were the major challenges that you faced initially, and how did you overcome them?
The major challenges, all of it. Since I just know regarding the coding itself. I don't know how to manage people. I don't know how to create to make a big scale team. How to create which position that I need to make this application to be successful. So yeah, just a simple, just create an app. Just create an app that can be useful for the customers. That's all. So
Yeah.
how to do that? How to do that? So okay, when I create the application, okay, the application is already finished, right? So it already can be run in the handset. But to make it run into the production, we need servers, right? We need servers, we need database. So that's why, oh, this is a very new field for me. So I need to learn about the network. I need to learn about the servers. I try to Google it. I try to learn, and yeah, I take yeah, my friend as the network engineers and help me to make me understand how to make it works, something like that. So okay, next, how to make this application to be successful and then can be access to everybody. So I think I need a marketing teams. Yeah. But I don't have those experience also. So that's why I try to find my other friend, which he already finished his MBA. So okay, will you help me to make this company successful and create some several go-to-market plan and others, and maybe I can learn from it too. So that's why I take it all of it is as a challenge, and I need to overcome with it. So there is one thing that I can understand. How many challenge that you take, how many desperate or burnout that you take, it can be fruitful in the end. So that's what I know.
Yeah. So if we have to, have an argument between like, should you start your company right after your college, or should you gain an experience and then maybe work on something that you want? What would your take on that be? Because you have, started something of your own right after your college, and what were the voids that were there, and
Yeah.
what were you struggling with, right? So if you have to recommend someone who's getting out of their college and want to start something of their own, what would you recommend? Like start something of their own right away, or maybe getting
Right away.
experience
Right away.
right away?
Right away.
Okay.
Because theoretically we need to understand the theoretically on the googling on the other theory, right? But to reach until that phase, we need time, right? But I don't have time to release my phone. I don't have time to release my product. So just do it. Just do it, and then we will face several challenging, and then yeah, try to understand, try to be learned. So I think the lesson learned is really important than theoretically.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like what you learn from yourself is like a lot more valuable than maybe just reading about it, or just like thinking about that's something that I could do, right? And I think you also hit the 400K monthly revenue with this Islamic force, which was amazing. And that was your first company, and everyone were freshers, I guess. Most of your teammates were your friends itself, who are also like trying to figure out, who are also like were in the very initial stage of their career. But then you guys started and you were leading the application, you were leading the tech, and you were like looking into 100 different stuff. And then you also managed to hit the revenue of 400K, which most of the companies don't really do it in the very first, in the very first startup. So what was the story behind it? Like, how did that happen? What was the break even point over there?
At first I just feel lucky. So yeah, we start the company with 5 people actually. So yeah, I'm the CTO and one man as the programmer that helping me to code, right? And the third one is the network engineer. The fourth one is the network engineer, and then the CEO. So basically the code is 2 people, just me and my friend. And then yeah, at the time we are the first brew application, the first programmer applications that created into the CDMA phones. So yeah, I know that okay, on the several months we will facing Ramadan. So Ramadan is really big for us for the Islamic, right? So that's why we try to create the application to support the Ramadan. And then there is no first application that created into the CDMA phone yet in Indonesia. So that's why, oh, okay, I think it will be a new market. It will be a new market. There are no competitor on that market, right? So that's why, okay, we try to create the application into this CDMA phone, but it's not very smooth. We really face several, not several, maybe hundreds times first class applications because data leak. Since this Brew framework using a C native, and then this C native, if we are using a variable that not really well maintained, it will be go to the data leak. So yeah, we face the first class a lot. So okay, after we created the applications, okay, it will be finished and we demo to our CEO, and then yeah, at the time I live at the Bandung and we go to the Jakarta. Jakarta is the country city, right, in Indonesia. It takes about 3 hours. It takes about 3 hours and goes to Jakarta and show to the Bakri Telecom, okay, this is the apps, and then find the first close, go back again to Bandung, fix it, sleep at the office several days, goes to the Jakarta again, show it, first close, back again. It takes about 3 months. A lot of challenges that we face, a lot of us. Yeah, but in until the end, we try to make this application to be yeah, great for the customers, and we at the time after the 3 months finish, we presented to the Bakri Telecom, and it's okay, and they try to create the phone, the production on the phone itself, and start with the 300 phones and try to sell to the customers. Wow, at first launch it just sold in one day, and then they try to create again and sell again, and wow, it's a huge market. And at Ramadan they use this phone to as a gift to the family, so that's why we reach about millions of users, and yeah, that's revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were actually, catering to millions of users, right? And it just, the timing was just right. Ramadan was, around the corner when you guys were developing something around that. And you actually seen a product market fit over there, right? So what was the challenges that you were facing when you were scaling to that extent? Because when you were serving for an audience of over 100, that is going to be different. The challenges that you're going to face are going to be different than the one when you're
Yeah.
scaling it to a million customers or more than that. So what were the challenges that you were facing when you were maybe having a customer base as huge as that? So yeah. um,
At the time, I feel so lucky that we are using the what is it called, load balancer and multiple VMs at the time. Yeah, since we already using that one, so when we try to scale into hundred of user, million of user, we can just create another VMs and connect to the load balancer, and it already prepared. Not like now. Right now we can use Kubernetes, right? But at 2008, we just use the load balancer to scale out. Uh, I think that's how we can scale from the application perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you started over there, Halga, so was it like, did you guys went for funding or was it everything bootstrapped? So how were you managing the funds initially in your first company?
Okay. Yes, that's right. At first, we don't have funds. We just have our CEO funds, which is a seed, right? So this our CEO try to find uh, yeah, like yeah, founder lah. Yeah, we get founder from a very big firm. It's Falcon Interactive. So they already create multiple movies. They already created multiple musics, and also have close relationship to the telco company. So that's what we can use.
Yeah.
So yeah, with him, he will give us the funding, and then give us the marketing also, so we can reach every telco company in Indonesia, and make a connection to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then after that, I think you were working on the cloud computing and co-hosting in your second company, which is very different than what you were doing in the very first, right? And what were the challenges and the key learnings you had while selling cloud services back then? How was it, and what do you see the differences when it comes to cloud computing and cloud services in that time and now? And what differences do you see, and how was your experience while working on that?
Okay, I know that the field is very different. When I try to go to first company, I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, right? And then maybe it's my classic problem. I just bored. I just bored with the programming, and then oh, I think that how to scale the systems to make it very successful. So that's why I try to learn regarding the load balancer, regarding the physical hardware, the IBM and others. And then, I see that, it will be a huge business on the cloud computing at 2012 in Indonesia. So that's why I try to left this company, goes to the CBN Cloud. At the CBN Cloud, they are creating their own cloud using open cloud. So we are creating the open cloud and then try to sell our VMs, try to sell the co-hosting and also others. And also we can create the private cloud into several companies. At the time, there are several medias, the big media that use us, Tribun News, Tempo. They are the first class of Indonesia media.
Yeah. And how long were you working back then during the cloud services, Halga?
I think about 1 year. Why 1 year? Because funny story. One of my clients like me a lot since I can fix several things, their server and their cloud. So that's why this one client, which is rajamobile.com, want to take me as their employee. So that's why I try to move to the rajamobile.com as a CTO.
Yes, I think Raja Mobile was the third company that you start working, right? And
Yeah.
over there, you were also handling tech and also a bit of the marketing part. You were also doing like the digital marketing, is what you kind of mentioned. And so, how was it like switching to different roles every time you start something new? So, do you think most people just stay in their particular domain for a very long time, expecting that to attain an expertise and excellence in that particular stuff? But with your journey, started with your own stuff. You had amazing learnings from the revenue and the turnover that you were having, and then cloud computing, which was completely different. And then being a tech, you were also partially into marketing and understanding what is a demand side of it. So how do you manage, how did you manage like every time going into different domains? Do you believe in having a horizontal understanding of things, or maybe a vertical, just catch one thing and just like go deeper into it? So what is your take on it?
Okay. We need to challenge ourselves. Yeah, we need to challenge ourselves. We cannot only goes to the just usual self and just doing usual stuff and others. We need to challenge ourselves to make it different, to make it more anxious, more more spirits and others. So when I goes to the Raja Mobile, because I have capability on the programming, create systems, and also on the server side, right? After I joined the Raja Mobile, and then I see the opportunity. So I see the opportunity. This Raja Mobile, the business is trying to sell the cars, right? The new cars, especially. So how can they try to sell the cars? How can they try to find a lead or a customer? So they try to find the lead from the digital marketing. So at my spare time, I try to see our digital marketing and see how they works actually. So it's kind of, maybe it from my side it's kind of like a gambling, because we need to put some numbers on the CPA, on the cost per impressions acquisitions, so we can take how many lists that we can make, right? So okay, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. So I just want to try it. So I create one account in there. So I try to create just a sample to make a marketing on my products. And at first, the CPA is go high, but I try to learn something. I try to learn something regarding text, regarding the image, regarding how the message that I can deliver, right? So I create the second one. Oh, the CPA is really good. It's about maybe 50 cents. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. And then okay, and then I think I can make it lower. So I can improve the image, I can improve the message and others. So yeah, that's how I going and make it as an addiction. So that's why okay, after I create the lowest CPA in the company, and yeah, our CEO, yeah, okay, how about you manage our digital team also? Okay, wow, it's a big team. Okay, but I love it.
Yeah. What were the major challenges that you were facing in that Raja Mobile, Halga? And I mean, you were actually involved in a lot of stuff like the tech and non-tech aspects, right? And what were your major learnings that actually helped you to, go to the next? Because the next company that you were working was Bukalapak, right? And that is a unicorn. Um, I mean, I think that was something that you were that was a complete different sector of the company that you were working with the Raja Mobile. And what were your major learnings back then when it came to the Raja Mobile while you were handling like a million things at the same time as a tech person? So, what were your learnings?
Okay, at Raja Mobile, my challenge and what I try to fix it is how to make a scale teams. So maybe at the company at the Raja Mobile we start with the 10 people, and then okay the business is smooth. We need more people. Right, the business demand it, and okay, I try to hire more people, 15 people. But how to manage the teams, how to manage they can be very resourceful, how can manage their velocity and others. So that's why, oh, okay, at the time I can use agile. So we start it with the scrum. So we start it with the scrum. We try to follow the scrum rules, starting the sprint planning, daily stand up, retrospective and others. And then the velocity is high, so we can see the how much product that we can deliver. So that's kind of problems and how to solve it, and yeah, everybody happy. So after I understand regarding the agile, how I can understand how to manage people on much people, right? And yeah, I need to go to the bigger level. So I need to know to understand regarding the unicorn. As at the time, I know that unicorn have a very big challenge other than just a startup. That's what I understand. So that's why I tried to apply to the unicorn and I got it on the Bukalapak as a senior engineering managers. At that time, I manage one division, one tribe. It called growth. So this growth division or growth tribe, they have cross functions teams. I take about five squads, yeah, from the growth. So the challenge is different, really different. Why? Since I'm at the growth tribe, I usually facing regarding very big TPS, very big transaction per seconds. How can I still survive? How can the application still survive on, yeah, 1400 and 2000 TPS? Yeah, that's the challenge. So talk with the team, talk with the architect, how to collaborate with each other, how to make the systems it will be smooth to be launched and others. I got all experience out, got all the knowledge at that time.
Yeah, so I think you were also working on one of the things, which was International Shopping Day at Bukala Park, right? And it was, first of all, it was a unicorn. You started working, it was a startup, and you were, working as a senior engineering manager at a unicorn like Bukala Park. And then for the reference for the people, if I can connect that to India, so we have something called a Big Billion Day sale on Flipkart. So I think that was something that you guys also have
Yes.
in Indonesia, which was International Shopping Day, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that you had like the huge traffic coming in the moment the clock struck 12, right? And then how was, how was everything, like what was the behind story for it, like how were the teams preparing for, to manage that millions of crowd over there? How did you actually, what were the major challenges that you were looking into? And, as senior engineering manager, what are the challenges that you are facing, and what were the other stuff that, like, going behind International Shopping Day at Bukalpa? Yeah.
Okay. In Indonesia, we call it Harbolnas, Hari Belanja Nasional. It's yeah, International Shopping Days. Yeah, it's especially 12 December, but we also have another one, 11 November, 10 October also, but it's very small. Uh, but from our preparation, I think for at the first no. First we need to create a preparation measure, like we create the plan from the June, July, what kind of product that we can create, how can we what is the estimation of users that we can achieve, something like that. And yeah, we are preparing regarding the services, how many services that we need to create, how, and also the budget itself. and yeah, there will be a lot of stuff. But in the middle of the process, let's say, okay, the plan started with the June, July, but in the September, October, there are a lot of changing. There are a lot of changing the product. Oh, okay, I think it's not good right now. It need to be changed, right? Oh, so how can I make my people, my engineers to be happy, right? Because they already start from June. So yeah, it's so much crazy, something like that. So that's why we need to achieve, we need still to achieve what can we can achieve until the day, until the 12th December, right? So that's why we need to push ourselves into the agile, how the scrum works, how many days that we need to create to the product itself. And then we need to spare about one sprint or two sprint to make it like a load test, stress test, security test, and others. And yeah, yeah, near to the 12th December, at the midnight, yeah, we gathering just to try to the applications together and try to push into 10,000 TPS, 15,000 TPS until 20,000 TPS. We want to know how many TPS that we can achieve. So when the Harbonals is happening, yeah, we are monitoring all the metrics, all the monitoring and logging. We need to make it sustain, right? But yeah, there always be incident because the traffic is huge. The traffic is more than we can anticipate it. We need to change the code, yeah, at the time, and then fix it already, and yeah, we can create so many revenue at the day.
So, with the traffic, with that huge number of traffic, and also, I guess the revenues were something that, were more than you guys expected, right? And before that, did you have any chances? Okay, maybe it would crash down. What are you going to have if you crash down? For example, let's say if you're preparing for something big for over months and just having a plan A, maybe that might work and might not. Just so, as a senior engineering manager, how were your approach towards, if things go south? So, do you actually go with that mindset from the very beginning, or is it like, is just this plan and we're going to give everything to it? So, how were you, like, dealing with the uncertain stuff that you were not really sure, and also preparing your team, because that is a startup and you're preparing for something really big with that traffic, right? And how are you, like, making sure if something happens, how are you going to handle it?
Yeah, you're right. We need to calculate the risk. We need to calculate all the risk that can be happen, starting from the engineer's availability, right? So we try to create a timeline. We try to create on each working task on Jira. So we want to make sure that they can help us, and there is no carry over or delay on each task. So that's the first. If they want to take a leave and in others, usually I try to convince them. Okay, please help me to finish this first. After the D-Day, you can take how many leave yeah you can. Okay. Other than that, even though we want to deploy, we try to create a deployment plan also. So we try to create a deployment plan, what kind of services that we need to go up, and what is the step, what is the prerequisite, and others. So we want to make the risk is minimum, right? Not quite much. We find out we need to make a rollout. I mean the rollback. So if we find out that application is failure and the metrics is will be going down, try to roll back and then try to fix it and goes up again. Yeah, it's part of the learning process.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say if you are, if someone is starting their startup or, a company of e-com in Indonesia, with your experience of, having hosting something like an international shopping day and, being able to generate that huge amount of revenue and turning that as one of the biggest successes for that company, if there's some other person who's actually having the same kind of company and he's actually preparing for the same thing of addressing that amount of users, so what would you advise to what would your checklist be? Okay, these are things that you need to like look at if you're hosting an international shopping day for a million users, and this is how you could generate the revenue. So do you have any to-do list now that you already worked for it? So what would you recommend if someone is looking out for the same thing?
I think I don't say much. I can make yeah. First, we need to make sure the code will be scalable. First, how to make sure something like that? Yeah, we can use unit testing. We can use a Sonar Cube to make sure the code will be scalable if the user will be huge. Other than that, just architectural skills, like yeah, please use the microservices, please use Redis, please use load balancers, SKS for the event driven and others, and also Lambda for the serverless. There are a lot of stuff that you can do to make it scale. The last thing is how to make sure that these scale things will be work at the time. So that's why you need to create a load test, a stress test, right? So I can make sure that with the 20,000 TPS, the application will be goes smoothly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you have to like, jot down 1 to 2 key learnings and like amazing takeaways that you had working on a project like that, like it was also unicorn, it was also a startup at the same time. You also like, aspiring for something big, but then you might also, run down on the funds to, able to cater to that, right? So what were your major learnings working with Mukhalapa?
Always think positive. Always think positive, always try to learn. So when we try to when we see a block in front, and if we see, oh, I cannot do it because the code is already maximum and others, don't stress out, just think clearly, just relax a bit, staying positive, what we can achieve more using other methods, something like that. Yeah, just don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys have a friends, right? You guys have a team, so yeah, we can make it into fullest.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I think after that, you started working with Bluebird. Well, to give the context for the audience joining us today, Bluebird is one of the biggest taxi company in Indonesia. And while Halga started working for it, it already had like 25,000 taxis that were under Bluebird. And it was one of the really like the biggest taxi company that Indonesian people are familiar with. So how did you start working for it, and how was your experience working for it, for the Bluebird Helga? So why did you choose to work with Bluebird? at the first place?
Okay, at first I think taxi industry, taxi business is very different with mine. Of course, in Bukalapak we are the e-commerce. In taxis it will be different.
Yeah.
There will be a different product also. Yeah, let's say for ride hailing, how to create, how to manage which people that we need to take for this taxi, and how to prioritize this person to another taxi, something like that. Yeah, based on the distance, based on the how many the driver will get the customers and others. There will be a formula for that one also, and it will be a huge competition. But I see that Bluebird at that time, I think I can make the company flows, like I can make how can they scale from the people, from the technical staff, I mean the architectural to be better. So that's why I propose to the teams to create squads, stripes, like cross functions. At the time, we started with, I forgot, about 8 or 10, and then when I left, it's already 12 or something. It's huge, actually. So at the time, at first, I got only 50 people. When I left, it's already 150 people. So yeah, I try to create multiple squads so they can work each other. So they can I can leave to them to make it very agile with their works, and I just try to put the target, the KPI or the OKR. And other than that, I try to focus with my architect teams. So how to create the big picture of architecture. So these systems can manage until 25,000 drivers or cars.
Yeah. So I think taxi business is something that is very hard to break in through right now that we actually see Uber and Ola in India. Is it the same? Like how fluctuating is a taxi business and how risky is it in Indonesia back then? Like what were the major challenges that you were facing while working on it? I think you mentioned me there before you started joining in, they were just going with the traditional ways of tech. And then you started like seeing how you could scale it, how you could like make it more efficient and you could make it more agile when it came to team and when it came to the production and also like the deploying stuff, right? And you are also deploying projects every Tuesday with the tight deadlines. So a little bit about that. How were you actually doing it and what were these projects about? And how did you manage your team to just like work on the tight deadlines of deploying every Tuesday? Yeah.
So I tried to push our teams to make use of the agile, especially the Scrum itself. So the Scrum, we need to follow the rules, starting with the grooming, sprint planning, daily stand-ups, and then goes to the retros and also sprint review. So we already have a commitment on each sprint. So let's say we try to create a project A. This project A will need about 3 sprints. So we can divide on each sprint how many backlog that we need on each sprint that need to be finished, right? And then on the daily basis, on the daily stand up, we can check what make they finish or an obstacle that we need to finish it, right? So that's why okay, after finishing the sprint, which is in Bluebird, one sprint is 2 weeks. So after the sprint is finished, the development is already finished, including the testing also. And I push our teams, all the teams, to make a deployment every Tuesday after the sprint finish. Yeah, Monday is only focused to create the like a planning. So I try to push our team to create a deployment plan document so they can create the what need to be deployed on the Tuesday. So how many services that they can deploy, what kind of SQL that need to be uploaded, and others. So the preparation will be major. At the Tuesday, we don't have any troubles.
And can you discuss any significant projects and initiatives that you have led in Bluebird, and how did these projects really contribute to the growth and success of the company? I understand, like I remember you actually came and, like, made changes to a lot of stuff when it came to tech, right? And obviously after that, the way you were dealing with tech, and then the way you were dealing with demand projects, team and productivity at the end of the day, and what were the initiatives that you actually implemented, a little focus on initiatives that you started over there, and how did that impact the business at the end of the day? And yeah, how did you, like, manage your team to do that at the end of the day?
Okay, mostly what kind of initiative that I try to push is not specifically on the project itself. So I always try to push our team, especially on the best practice, on the engineering standard. So starting with the agile, the Scrum itself, and then goes to how to create a code quality. That's the first. So because us as a leader and engineering leaders, the KPI is how to create a product quality, right? So to create the product quality from the engineering side is how to create the code quality. Then goes to how to create the code quality. There will be a lot of phase to do. Let's say when I got the task to code, like, so first I need to put it into our Git, like onto the Git and create the branch development and try to create a simple unit testing. That's a first. So create the unit testing, what kind of expected result that we need to be achieved on this task, right? So we create the unit testing. Then goes to the create a code. Create a code. After create the code, make sure this unit testing will be green lamp, and then goes to the linters. Now, on the linters, we can check uh, how many code or how many function that we need to solve. Is there any broken method and others that we need to fix it after the linters, and then goes the code review. So we ask our friend to code review our code, right? And if there is smooth, and they said okay, and then I try to deploy into the staging first, and I will ask my leaders and ESL. In us, we call it ESL, engineering squad lead. So we ask ESL, okay, can I deploy to the staging? Okay, then I try to push up my code to the staging. After the code goes to the staging, QA try to testing. After the testing will be finished, will be goes to several phase also. It goes to the regressions, and regression goes to the beta test, and okay, we can start to roll out. And even when we go to the rollout, we need to pass the uh, train process. So we need to roll out 30%, goes to 50%, and then goes to 100%. At the same time, we need to monitor the crashlytics. So that's all of the best practice, the engineering standard that I need to push our team to make the code quality works.
And I think that was something that you were practicing since the beginning, right? Like
Yeah.
meeting the engineering standards of. You also mentioned when you were talking about the Bukala Park, and you were saying that you need to build a code that is scalable.
Yes.
And then I think that's something. Do you think that is one of the major reasons why you'll be able to, deliver the best work at the end of the day on the table as a tech team? So, do you think, is there any other factors that are usually involved besides the code quality? What are the
Yes.
other factors?
I think it's mixed lah. Yeah, all the best practice I get from the experience from the several company, because different business will have a different solutions, right? So I try to take positive ways and take to implement into the my new company, something like that. So other than that, just try to learn. There are a lot of learning platform, right, like Udemy, Coursera, and others. So we can mix up, and also we need to always goes to the community, like Golang community, or maybe yeah, there are a lot of programming language community, yeah, in the cities, right? So we can contribute to them, so we can see what kind of challenge, what kind of improvement that we can use in our company.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think after that you started working with Aplikasi Super. Well, to give a little context of what it is, I think it is Indonesia's first and leading social commerce platform. And you started working over there as the assistant vice president of engineering, right? So, what are you trying to solve over here, Helga? And what's something that you are taking care of over here? And what are your basic responsibilities? And how does Helga's day at Super looks like? Like, what are the things that you look at? What are the responsibilities that you're taking care of? What's something that you are responsible when it comes to this company? Yeah.
Okay, at this application Super have a different business also with the other one. So aplikasi Super trying to solve regarding the price on the mini shops. So in Indonesia we call it warung, mini shops. There are I think it's about thousands or millions of warungs around of Indonesia. So and every goods that being delivered, let's say FMCG goods that being delivered from the principal goes to the main distributor on each province, goes to logistic, and goes to the mini distributor on rural area, and then goes to the mini shops. The price will be higher and higher. So how can we make this price will be a little bit same lah with the principal. So that's why we start it as Aplikasi Super as a distributor. So we take the goods from the principal and manage the inventory at our warehouse, and also manage the logistic itself, goes to the directly to the warungs, to the mini shops. So that's why we try to solve about the price. Since we already manage the warehouse, we have about 10 warehouse actually, and we are focused on the eastern of Indonesia. So in from the development perspective, we need to solve regarding the warehouse systems. So inventory management system that we need to solve. Second one is about the logistic, how to send the goods. The third one is about the procurement, how to sell and buy the goods from the principal and then goes to the each distributor and goes to the mini shops. And the last one is directly connected with to the customer. So our customer, our warungs or our mini shops using our Aplikasi Super. So there is an app spelled Super literally, and they can restock the goods. So they can restock about the sugar, tobacco, and others. So yeah. So that's why in my team trying to develop regarding those systems.
Yeah. I think the price was something you mentioned me, like the price is something that you were trying to explicitly work at so that you could lower it and are able to cater to a better audience, right?
Yes.
So Halga, when it comes to tech, you as a tech person over there, do you think getting into a game which is very competitive and a price sensitive, do you think you'll be able to have a leverage in an industries or the businesses like that where you're trying to play on the part of the price because you have a competitor today who is ready to decrease the price going forward, right? And then the more you burn the cash on the price, there's some or the other person who's willing to lower the prices more. So what do you think has an AVP of engineering over there? What's something that how you could handle something like that?
Okay, from the engineering perspective, yeah. Uh, I think the question can be answered from the product perspective, but I need to find out the answer from the engineering, because the engineering we try to create like a systems, right? Like a systems to how to connect it into each of warehouses, so there will be no additional fee on each movement on the goods from this warehouse into the another warehouse, right? So we try to make it cheaper, and also we create a tracker to the logistics, so we need to make sure all the logistic will be delivered. And yeah, we got help from the product tech. So actually, when we facing our competitor, the price is not final. So we have a lot of features that can be used by the customer. For example, other competitor usually try to ask the customer need to pay first, and then goods being delivered.
Mm,
So
mm,
from my side, since we are working on the eastern area, since we are working on the rural area, all the mini shops owner doesn't have much money. They doesn't have bank account. They just get cash. So it will not work. So that's why
yeah.
we try to create like yeah meeting point, like so so we just deliver the goods. So we just deliver the goods into the mini shops, and payment will be done there.
Hmm. So
But
you mean like cash on delivery, right?
cash on
Yeah.
delivery, yes, sure.
That is something that also like kind of worked for India when initially
uh,
Amazon came in, and then
yes,
Flipkart actually came in with like cash on delivery. I
exactly.
think the mindset of India and also Indonesia is kind of same, because I think that's where the difference came. That's how I guess the Flipkart was making a difference by standing apart from a big giant MNC like that.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
also from a product perspective, Halga, now that you talked about from the engineering perspective, how you were, trying to make your app better, from a product perspective, do you think playing on the price is a very safe game, or what else do you have to get on the table besides that? Because one thing that you also mentioned is how you also got looked into what your competitor is not doing and what you guys can do. So something around that, like besides price, what would you really play on when your product is almost in a tight edge competition with the other competitors in the market?
Yeah. Uh, First we need to make engage to the customers. So how to create an app that can be engaged to the customer. Uh, Before we are using Ionic. We are using the Ionic. Ionic that's mix, not really native one. So just because we are the startup, that we need to make it into product market fit, right? So we create Ionic. It will be faster to develop, and then we see that customer really enjoy, and we face the product market fit. So several months ago, okay, I think it's time we need to go to native. So that's why we try to make a lot of things to preparations. Since the Ionic will take, yeah, uh, yeah, somebody else call it delay. It will be take several milliseconds of response every time customer try to click at anything in the apps. But just a couple days ago, we have launched native apps using a Flutter. So this app will be very smooth, will be very fast to respond every time you click. So we hope, and yeah, in the next couple months, we can make every customer, every mini shops will be happy to use our apps.
Yeah, yeah. What are your major challenges that you're facing as of now when it comes to, all the delivering and, managing all of that? I'm pretty sure that you're solving everything day in and out. But then what are the major challenges you actually are facing in an industry like this?
Uh, I think a new technology, a new knowledge. Yeah, we just know that okay, we can stop today. We see that there are a lot of technology that we can use. There are a lot of knowledge we can optimize, right? but we don't have that yet. But if we let to use them, we will be got lost, or we can be yeah so much gap with the competitors. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we need to make it to understand regarding the new technology. We need to keep updating what kind of knowledge that we can optimize to use to our business. I think that's
Yeah.
the most challenge that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And how are you at, Super? You're actually ensuring that you are, making the most use of the new technology now that AI and ML is just everywhere, irrespective of which industry you are from, medicine to education and e-commerce. So how do you think you can imbibe something like this AI and ML into your business that could actually help you get an edge over the competitors?
Yeah, first, I keep pushing our team to be active on several communities. I keep pushing our teams to understand the trends right now. Especially for the AI, we have data teams, actually, the BI teams. They also try to understand regarding the AI itself. What can we can utilize, like product recommendation maybe, or maybe we can see a trends regarding which users or which customer that we can approach with the different things, something like that. So I think there will be a lot of stuff that we can try it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think, Halga, you have been, having experience of 17 plus years as a tech leader, right?
Mhm.
And you worked with different industries and with the tight deadlines, with different projects, with taxi company, and then you also work with the e-com, and then you launched your own phone, and then now that you're working at Super. So, what are the key factors that contributed to your success as a tech leader in tech industry? Because when you see specifically in tech, a lot of people are more, let's say, not really aspiring to have a leadership role in tech because developers are not like really great with, like, let's say, communication skills, and they can get the best code at the end of the day, but then when you ask them about leading a team, you only have a certain percentage of people who can get forward to do that. But then while you were doing all this for over the years, what do you think is the major the contribution to your success as a leader in tech?
Okay, interesting questions. So I don't think I think much. So yeah, I think the key factor that contributed to be my success, actually, yeah, you're right. Most of my times is mostly as leaders. So we need to make our major decisions. That's the first. So when we try to face some things, we need to make major decisions. To achieve these major decisions, we need to calculate, we need to collect all data, and we cannot make an assumptions and others. So I think that's the first. And then other than making a major decisions, what else? Just keep learning. Just keep learning. Just keep learning. Please don't stop. Please don't see that, oh, okay, other company is very high salary, and then, oh, I think we can make a happy life there. Yeah, please don't think like that. Just think how which company that can make you successful. Well, which company that can make you really great at challenge, really great at knowledge and others that can improve you. Because I think I have experience to interview, yeah, several employees. There are employee that I think, oh, I think he's really bad at that company because the company is not very supportive, right? So that's why I don't want to this company to make it like that. So I want these people can learn enough what can they do, and if they want to leave us, they can have a much potential than they can goes to the very good or great company, something. So I don't want to make them just a working burnout in others. So I think just do it.
Yes. And looking back at your journey, Halga, like you actually had like the great successes. You've been like trying to hit the milestones and delivering over you've been like the overachiever every time that you're working with some or the other company, right? You worked with unicorns, you worked with like the biggest taxi companies, and and you have a great record of the achievements that you had in tech industry, and that is kind of very obvious by the work that you have done in the milestones that you achieved, right? But then when we talk about the mistakes, because with the greatest achievements you also have made the mistakes, behind the processes, right? So any major mistakes that you think you have done that actually helped you to have a little clear vision next time that you were working again? Any major blunder that you had during this journey?
Yeah, I think yeah, every challenge that we face, there always be a yeah, major challenge, major stop, major stocks and other like that. So when we stop right there, and we goes to another round, I think we cannot move on. I think we cannot move on. So first, I was think positive. So I was think positive. Don't create a negative thinking. Just keep learning. The best one is please take experience as much as possible, because yeah, from the learning perspective, you can find out from the googling, from the any uh, e-course and others, but experience is huge. So we cannot get experience just for from learning, like. So that's why yeah, please don't hesitate if you try to push working at night, sorry to say. Just keep trying, keep take the experience, what kind of things that we need to learn, of what kind of things that we need to lesson learn and others, and always keep challenging yourself. That's the last one.
Yeah, and how do you manage your work-life balance in a demanding role like this? Because you've been, in a leadership role for most of your experience in tech, right? And as a leader, you should always be there with your team, and you're working under the tight deadlines, and you're always there, driving the company to a certain vision for the next mission, right? And how do you manage work-life balance with this? Because most of the people right now, that I think that's what they're really struggling with. When they're into work, they're actually getting to lose on something, and then at the end of the day the productivity is something that really hampers them when they're just burned out, right? So how do you do it, and then what strategies or tips that actually work for you personally to be there at 100% every day that you show up in your company, and make sure that even your team gets the best of it?
Okay, when you goes to higher positions, you will face higher responsibility. When you face higher responsibility, you will take these problems. How can I make a time management? So how can I keep make it separate between the work-life balance, right? So when you fix that, you can go to higher and face again, and always face the work-life balance, because every time you goes to the higher positions, you always got bigger and yeah, much larger responsibility, right? So first, work what you love. So when you don't like your work, so just leave it. Just goes to the work that you love. So if you work what you love, if you love it, then you will never found that you are burnt out, but relaxing, always relaxing, because this is what I love, right? Second is usually I focus on the work on the working day usually, and work after office hour if needed. Always make a plan ahead so we don't have to work on weekends. So because weekends just for the family time, right? So we need a plan. We need a plan. We need to plan uh, how can we create, how can the commitment on the task that need to be finished in one day is really finished. But if there is problem like, okay, I try to finish it, but I still got a bugs from our QA, then go finish it at the time. Don't go to another day. It will make you a lot of tasks that not finish yet until a weekend. So you cannot have that, right? And the third one is regarding the standby. Standby after office hours or weekend is needed. Since our service is 24-hour, right? We cannot just, okay, I just want to work on work day. I don't want to work on weekend. No, it's not like that. Our services is 24 hours, so we need to stand by. But be smart to prioritize. We can do short-term solutions if needed, work after office hours, and do the rest when working day. It will be yeah, happy for you, happy for company, happy for our leader and others. Yeah, I think this three can help you.
I think this would be a golden rule, right? Like when you're trying to work, you actually get the whole work done. And then maybe procrastinating for another day. I think that is the major blunder which most of us are, facing. And when you have the higher responsibility, you also have the obligation of getting the things right so that you'll be able to guide your team in a better way and get the most out of them. Right. And so, Halga, what is next for Halga Tamici? And now that you already had amazing and terrific journey up till now, what's something that you're looking forward to? What more like Halga is aspiring to be or aspiring to work on? What is the next for Halga Tamishi? Yeah.
Okay. Uh, at my position right now, I'm not seeing how can I make a bigger, how can I make the company bigger, but we need to think how can I make our team higher.
Hmm.
So because when you see there are a lot of employee at one company is very successful, is very confident with their work, the great is their leader, not the employee itself. So how can I can be like that? So that's why I need to make my team individual people can achieve what they want and achieve their maximum potential and can help us into the company wide.
Yeah. Yeah. And final question, Halga. How can you describe, if you have to describe yourself in one sentence, how would you describe yourself as?
Myself,
Yeah.
uh, just a great leader, like to solve some things between technical and also people.
Yeah, that's great. And closing on that, I guess we actually had amazing, amazing takeaways. And personally, I had, a lot of takeaways from your journey where you told like accepting the challenges right from the beginning. I think that really gave you the edge of, taking the risks and then going forward and maybe delivering it. And thinking positive has always been, your major trait under the tightest deadlines and the challenges that you're working. And then obviously keep learning. I think that's what makes leaders leaders, right? And then you keep learning, and then you'll be able to show up to your team as someone they could look up to. And that's something that we'll be looking forward to. And then yeah, have I really advise all the viewers today to take away all these things. And maybe if you missed out on anything, go rewatch it, because this is something that I was personally excited to uncover the journey of what you did behind all of that great revenue. And then, hosting that international shopping day, which is kind of closely to what we see in India over here. And we always wonder what are the teams that are working behind, and what it actually is behind the scenes when when you're developing something like that. And that was great talking to you, Halka, and we are very, very glad to have you over here. Thank you for taking your time
Thank
from
you.
your tight schedule and sharing your journey with us. And we would really, really look up to something more, and we really look up to your journey going forward. And a quick note on if someone is aspiring to join Super as an engineer, how they could get into that, and how they could be part of your team, and how they can get connected with you. Just on the ending note, yes.
Okay. I think just follow my LinkedIn. Maybe Anjung will share my LinkedIn, right? So I would love to discuss with you, even though you are not applying to Super. I can discuss other things, how can make your career successful and others. And also, if you want to join me, there are a lot of best engineering leaders that can mentor you to make you the best you are.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Helga. It was an honor talking to you and listening to you, and I hope that's exactly what our audience also feels like. And thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Have
the
a
opportunity.
great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Bye.